That night, I refused to put pen to paper, and my parents' hands answered before the pen hit the floor. The next morning, the bank called to confirm someone had already agreed on my behalf my signature, but not signed by me. I didn't run. I turned on the camera, opened the files, and transformed their slap into their own verdict. My name is Ava Monroe, and I've always been the one who held our family together until the night I decided to let it fall apart. The autumn wind rattled through my modest apartment in Brookstone, Ohio, carrying the smell of rust from the old factory district. I'd just finished another 10-hour shift at Summit and Crew Logistics, coordinating shipments and solving other people's problems, when my parents showed up at my door at 8:30 p.m. with their own crisis wrapped in desperation. $25,000, my father Martin said, spreading loan documents across my scratched coffee table like a dealer showing cards. His hands trembled not from age at 58, but from whatever had driven him to my doorstep. Just need you to co-sign, sweetheart. We'll handle the payments. My mother Lorraine stood behind him, her part-time retail uniform still on, mascara slightly smudged. She'd been crying. I could tell. She always cried when money got tight, which had become our family's default state since Dad lost his warehouse supervisor job 6 months ago. What happened to the tax refund? I asked, though I already knew. The same thing that happened to his severance, to Mom's overtime pay, to the $5,000 I'd given them last Christmas. It vanished into the black hole of their financial chaos credit cards, past due notices, and that ancient pickup truck Dad refused to sell. Just sign it, Ava. Mom's voice carried that sharp edge I'd known since childhood. Family helps family. I looked at the papers. Personal loan, 24% interest. My credit score 720, built through years of careful payments and denied pleasures, would be their collateral. Again. I need to see everything first, I said, my logistics training kicking in. Bank statements, credit card bills, a payment plan, and insurance documentation for the truck if that's what this is really for. Dad's jaw tightened. You don't trust us. I've helped before. Dad, 3 times. I have the transfer receipts. I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshot I'd kept. February, $4,000 for the mortgage. June, $1,500 for Mom's medical bills. September, $2,000 for your truck transmission. You're keeping track. Mom's voice pitched higher. Like we're some kind of charity case. You're just a logistics clerk. Ava, don't act like you're better than us. The words stung, but not as much as my phone buzzing with texts from unknown numbers, probably Dad's creditors who'd somehow gotten my number. One message made my blood cold. Please sign today. Interest increases tomorrow. How many people did you already promise this to? I asked. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom's hands clenched into fists. No, I said, pushing the papers back across the table. I won't co-sign. The slap came faster than I expected. Mom's palm cracked across my left cheek, snapping my head sideways. The pen Dad had been holding clattered to the floor, rolling under the radiator. The room went silent except for the ticking of my kitchen clock and the ringing in my ear. I stood slowly, my hand not going to my burning cheek but to my phone. The camera clicked once, twice, capturing the red mark already forming on my face, the scattered loan papers, my parents' frozen expressions, shock on Dad's face, defiance still burning in Mom's eyes. Get out, I said quietly. They left without another word, but Mom's parting look promised this wasn't over. As their footsteps faded down the hallway, I listened to that pen still rolling beneath the radiator, a small sound that somehow felt like the end of everything I'd known. My younger brother Evan texted me an hour later. What happened? Mom's calling everyone. I didn't respond. I was too busy documenting the bruise beginning to bloom across my cheekbone, saving every threatening text, backing up everything to the cloud. My family wanted me to save them, but they'd just taught me I needed to save myself first. The fluorescent lights at MedExpress Urgent Care made my bruise look worse, purple shadows spreading across my cheekbone like spilled ink. Doctor, Patel documented everything with clinical precision photographs from 3 angles, measurements of the swelling, detailed notes about the domestic incident I reported. Each click of her camera felt like building armor. "The police can take a report here if you'd like," she said gently, handing me an ice pack wrapped in thin paper. "Yes," I said without hesitation. Officer Daniels arrived within 20 minutes, his body camera recording as I explained what happened. Report number 2024, 10-3847. Another piece of armor. By the time I got home at 11:45 p.m., my phone had exploded with messages. Mom had launched her campaign, calling every relative with her version Ava abandoned us. Ava thinks she's too good for family. Ava is selfish with her money while we're drowning. Aunt Patricia, your mother is having chest pains from stress. This could kill her. Cousin Michael, just sign the damn papers. It's not that big a deal. Uncle Roy, family first. Ava, don't be the one who breaks us apart. I installed a video doorbell at 1 a.m. My fingers numb from the October cold as I screwed it into the frame. The app connected immediately, storing everything to the cloud. I tested it twice, watching myself on the screen bruised, exhausted, but standing guard at my own door. Dad's email arrived at 2:15 a.m., with the loan application attached again. Last chance to do the right thing. Already told the bank you'd sign tomorrow. Don't embarrass us. The threat was clear. They'd moved forward, assuming my compliance. I forwarded it to my personal backup email, then to a new folder I labeled Evidence. Sleep didn't come. At 3:30 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. The doorbell app chimed. Motion detected. The video showed Dad standing there, key in hand, the spare I'd given them 2 years ago for emergencies. He tried it twice before realizing I'd changed the locks that evening. His face contorted with frustration before he noticed the camera. He left quickly, but not before I captured his silver pickup's license plate as he peeled out of the parking lot. Morning brought worse news. Brookstone Savings called at 8:45 a.m., just as I was applying concealer to hide the bruise for work. "Good morning, Ms. Monroe. I'm calling to confirm your co-signature on the personal loan application submitted this morning. $25,000, with your parents as primary borrowers." My stomach dropped. "I never signed anything." "We have your electronic signature here, submitted at 8:12 a.m. through our online portal." "That's impossible. I need copies of everything: the application, the signature page, the IP address it was submitted from, all of it." The representative hesitated. "As a co-signer on the application, you're entitled to that information. Can you come to our branch?" I called in sick to work, my first absence in 2 years. Janelle, my co-worker who handled our department's financial audits, overheard my shaking voice. "What happened to your face?" she asked when I stopped by to grab some documents from my desk. I told her everything. She listened with the focus she usually reserved for spreadsheets. "You need the digital audit trail," she said immediately. "Every e-signature platform logs IP addresses, device information, timestamps. If they used your old email, did your parents ever have access?" My stomach sank further. The old Gmail account from college. Mom had helped me reset the password once when I was homesick 3 years ago. I'd forgotten it existed until now. At the bank. I sat across from a nervous loan officer who pulled up the file. There it was, my signature, or something that looked like it. The IP address traced to my parents' home Wi-Fi. Someone had uploaded a scan of my driver's license, probably photographed from my wallet during one of our family dinners. "This is identity theft," I said quietly. "I need every piece of documentation you have." The loan officer's face paled. "We'll need to investigate." "No investigation needed. I'm filing charges. Right now. And if this loan processes, your bank will be named in the lawsuit." Oh, on my way to the prosecutor's office, Evan texted, "They borrowed from Quick Cash too. Mom used your SSN. She said you'd never find out." I pulled over, hands shaking. The Quick Cash location was 6 blocks away. Another loan. Using my social security number, I sat in my car, engine running. heat blasting against the October chill. My phone buzzed again this time, a text from Mom. "You already signed? Stop making us look bad. The family will pay it back." Attached was a photo of the signature page. My name, but not my handwriting. Close enough to fool someone who didn't look carefully. But I knew every curve and line of my own signature. I texted back one word, "No." Then I drove to the courthouse, my folder of evidence growing thicker with each stop. My family's definition of love revealing itself as nothing more than a trap with my name forged as the key. The Brookstone Savings Branch manager, Derek Thompson, shifted uncomfortably as I spread the evidence across his mahogany desk. The fluorescent lights hummed above us, casting harsh shadows over the forged signature, the IP logs, and the uploaded scan of my driver's license. "Ms. Monroe, this is concerning," he said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "The application was submitted through our secure portal using valid credentials." "Valid credentials for an email account my mother knew the password to," I said, pulling up the account history on my phone. "Look at the login pattern. This email hasn't been accessed in 2 years until yesterday at 11 p.m. Then again this morning at 8:12 a.m. from my parents' IP address." I'd done my homework. The digital forensics were clear. The metadata showed the signature had been created using a free online tool, not the bank's native DocuSign system. Someone had uploaded a traced copy, probably held against a window or computer screen, then photographed it. "I need the full audit trail," I said. "Every keystroke, every page view, the complete session log." Thompson hesitated. "That requires approval from our legal department." "Actually, it doesn't." Janelle had coached me well. Under Federal Regulation E and the Fair Credit Reporting Act, as the supposed co-signer, I'm entitled to all documentation related to this application. Immediately. He made a phone call. 20 minutes later, a IT specialist named Marcus printed out 37 pages of technical logs. The smoking gun was on page 12. The signature upload showed dimensional inconsistencies. My real signature, pulled from my checking account records, was 72 pixels tall. The uploaded one was 93 pixels, stretched to fit the box. "Someone traced this," Marcus said quietly, glancing at his boss. "The pressure points are all wrong." "Real signatures have variable line thickness from pen pressure. This is uniform, like someone used a marker." The prosecutor's office was my next stop. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Brennan reviewed everything with the intensity of someone who'd seen this before. "Identity theft, fraud, forgery," she listed, fingers drumming on her desk. "The domestic violence report strengthens this, shows escalation. We can file charges, but I need you to understand what this means. Your parents could face jail time." "They slapped me and stole my identity," I said, the bruise on my cheek throbbing as if to emphasize the point. "What would you do?" She nodded slowly. "File for an emergency protective order first, today. Then we'll coordinate with the bank's legal team." The courthouse was eerily quiet at 3:30 p.m. as I filled out the application for a temporary restraining order. Each question felt like another nail in the coffin of my family relationships. Describe the most recent incident of violence. Do you fear for your safety? Has the respondent threatened you? Yes. Yes. And yes. Judge Hamilton reviewed my application. The photos of my bruised face, the doorbell footage of Dad trying to break in at 3:30 a.m., and signed the order immediately. Effective immediately. My parents couldn't come within 500 feet of me, my home, or my workplace. On my phone, I opened the 3 credit bureau apps Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and froze my credit. The locks clicked into place digitally, each one requiring a unique PIN only I would know. No more loans could be taken in my name. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table organizing everything into a binder. Tab 1 Medical Documentation, Tab 2 Police Reports, Tab 3 Bank Fraud Evidence, Tab 4 Digital Forensics, Tab 5 Text Messages and Emails. The binder grew to 2 inches thick. Evan called at 7:45 p.m. "Ava, what the hell?" There are cops at Mom and Dad's house. They committed fraud. Evan, they're our parents. Who hit me and stole my identity? Did you know about the quick cash loan? Silence. Then, quietly, Mom said you'd never check your credit report. So you did know. I told her it was wrong, but she said the family needed it, that you had good credit just sitting there unused, like it was a waste. My good credit. Years of eating ramen to make loan payments on time, driving a 12-year-old Honda while saving, shopping at thrift stores while building my score from 500 to 720. Just a resource to them, like a savings account they felt entitled to raid. There's more, Evan whispered. Dad applied to 3 other places online, payday loans. He has screenshots of your signature saved on his computer. My hand gripped the phone tighter. How many? I don't know. 5, maybe 6. Mom kept saying you'd forgive them once the crisis passed. The crisis that never seemed to pass. The emergency that renewed itself monthly, yearly, eternally. I opened my laptop and began typing an email to Ada Brennan with this new information. The subject line was simple: additional evidence, multiple fraud attempts. As I typed, another text came through from an unknown number. This is Uncle Roy. You're destroying your family over money. Your parents made one mistake. Don't be vindictive. One mistake. I looked at my binder of evidence, at the screenshots of 6 different loan applications, at the photo of my bruised face. I blocked the number and kept typing. The truth was spreading through my family like wildfire, but for once, I wasn't the one who would get burned. The family choosing sides happened faster than leaves falling in October. By Thursday morning, my phone had 37 missed calls from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Each voicemail followed the same script: disappointment, guilt, appeals to family loyalty. I stopped listening after the 5th one. Evan texted me at 6:15, had to move back in with them. Can't afford rent without their help. They're making me choose. He'd chosen. The message was clear in what he didn't say. At work, I kept my head down, processing shipment logs while my personal life unraveled through text messages. Janelle noticed me flinch when my phone buzzed for the 10th time before lunch. Change your number, she said simply, pulling up a chair beside my desk. I've been through this with my ex-husband. The flying monkeys won't stop until you make yourself unreachable. Flying monkeys, the people narcissists send to do their dirty work. The term fit perfectly. I can't change it yet. I'm documenting everything for the prosecutor. She nodded, then opened her laptop. Let me show you something. I moonlight as a forensic accountant for divorce cases. These patterns, your parents are showing classic financial abuse escalation. She pulled up a PowerPoint she used for court testimony. The slides showed how financial predators operate within families, start with emotional manipulation, escalate to threats, then actual theft, always counting on shame and family loyalty to protect them. Look at this, she said, opening another window. Digital signature forensics. I can analyze the mathematical patterns in real versus traced signatures. Want me to run your parents' forgery through my software? I handed her the files. Within minutes, her program had mapped the signature variations. Showing statistical proof of forgery, the velocity patterns were impossible for natural handwriting, the curve angles too perfect, the line weights artificially uniform. This is court-admissible evidence, she said, saving the analysis. No judge would look at this and think you signed willingly. That afternoon, I created a new folder, Monroe Loan 25K Criminal Case. Everything went in timestamps, screenshots, recordings from Ohio's one-party consent law, the doorbell videos, bank documents, Janelle's forensic analysis. I uploaded it all to 3 different cloud services and a USB drive I kept in my desk at work. The isolation hit hardest at dinner. I sat alone in my apartment, eating takeout Chinese while my phone displayed message after message in the family group chat I hadn't left yet. They discussed Thanksgiving plans, deliberately excluding me. Mom posted old photos of family gatherings with captions about when we were whole. Then Evan sent a private message that changed everything. Found more. Dad took out credit cards in your name. 3 of them. Max it out. Screenshots attached. They're planning to say you authorized everything if cops ask. Mom's been practicing her story about how you promised to help, then changed your mind. Delete this after reading. My hands trembled as I opened the attachments. Capital 1, $8,000 limit. Maxed, Discover. $5,000 limit. Maxed, Chase. $10,000 limit. Maxed. All opened in the last 2 months using variations of my old email addresses. The purchases cash advances mostly. Some transferred directly to my parents' checking account. $23,000 in credit card debt I didn't know existed, on top of the $25,000 loan attempt. I didn't delete Evan's message. I screenshot it, backed it up, and added it to my evidence folder. Then I called Ada Brennan's emergency line. They've stolen $48,000 total, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. And they're coaching each other on lies to tell the police. Can you come in first thing tomorrow? We need to upgrade the charges. This is organized fraud, conspiracy, potential RICO if they involved others. RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. My parents had turned our family into a criminal enterprise with my credit score as the target. That night, I pulled out a legal pad and started mapping the conspiracy. Dad as the technical executor, using his basic computer skills to fill out applications. Mom as the emotional manipulator, rallying family support and crafting cover stories. Even Evan trapped between loyalty and conscience, forced to be their lookout. At 11:30 p.m., my doorbell camera alerted. Not my parents. They couldn't come near me with a restraining order, but Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister, standing in the cold with an envelope. I didn't answer. Through the speaker, she said, "Your mother wanted me to give you this. She's sorry. Ava, just read it." She left the envelope on my doormat. I waited 20 minutes, then retrieved it wearing gloves, treating it like evidence. Inside was a handwritten letter in Mom's distinctive scrawl. "You've destroyed us. Dad's being charged. We could lose the house. All because you wouldn't help family. You were an investment we made for 18 years, and this is how you repay us. We fed you, clothed you, and this is thanks drop the charges, or you're no daughter of mine." An investment. That's all I'd ever been a credit score they'd raised to harvest. I photographed the letter, noting the admission of guilt embedded in her threats. She'd confirmed Dad was being charged, confirmed they saw me as an investment, confirmed their attempt at emotional extortion. I started typing my response to the ADA, attaching the new evidence. The subject line wrote itself, "Additional evidence, confession, and extortion attempt." Tomorrow. We would move forward with the sting at the bank. Tonight. I sat with the weight of $48,000 in fraud and a family that had finally shown me exactly what I was worth to them, 720 credit score points and nothing more. The plan came together in Ada Brennan's office at 8 a.m. sharp on Friday morning. Detective Ray Morrison from the Financial Crimes Unit spread bank documents across the conference table while explaining the approach. "We'll have you schedule an identity verification meeting at Brookstone Savings," he said, pointing to the bank's floor plan. "Conference Room B has glass walls visible but private audio. I'll be in Conference Room C with bank security, monitoring everything. Your parents won't be able to resist showing up," Brennan added. "Their entire scheme depends on maintaining the lie that you authorized these loans. When the bank asks them to verify the signature in person, they'll come." I picked up the fountain pen from Brennan's desk, a heavy Mont Blanc that reminded me of the cheap Bic that had clattered across my kitchen floor that night. "I want to bring something," I said. "The pen Dad dropped when Mom hit me. It's evidence, but it's also symbolic." Morrison nodded. "Wear the medical wrist brace, too." Visual reminder of the assault. The call to my parents was scheduled for noon, routed through the bank's fraud department with recording equipment active. I sat in the bank manager's office, my hands steady as Derek Thompson dialed the number. "Mr. and Mrs. Monroe. This is Derek Thompson from Brookstone Savings. We need all parties to appear for identity verification regarding the recent loan application. Standard procedure for amounts over $20,000. Dad's voice crackled through the speaker. "Ava already signed. You have her signature." "Yes. but federal regulations require in-person verification for electronic signatures. Ms. Monroe has already agreed to appear at 2 p.m. today. Can you both make it?" The pause stretched long enough that I thought they might refuse. Then Mom's voice, sharp and confident. "We'll be there. Ava knows she signed those papers." After the call, I sat in my car in the bank parking lot, watching the gray Ohio sky threaten rain. Janelle had insisted on taking the afternoon off to be nearby. "You need backup," she'd said, "even if it's just someone sitting in the parking lot who actually gives a damn about you." At 1:45 p.m., I entered the bank through the employee entrance Detective Morrison had arranged. Conference Room B was stark white walls, fluorescent lights, a long oak table with 3 chairs on each side. I placed my father's old pen on the table, parallel to the stack of fraudulent loan documents. Thompson brought in the signature verification equipment, a digital pad that would capture pressure, speed, and angle of any signature made. "This will prove definitively whether you signed the original documents," he explained loudly enough for the recording equipment to catch. At 1:58 p.m., my parents walked in. Dad wore his only suit, the navy one from Cousin Maria's wedding 3 years ago. Mom had put on her church dress and too much makeup, trying to look respectable. They didn't expect to see me already there, surrounded by evidence binders and bank officials. "Ava," Mom started, her voice syrupy sweet. "I'm glad you're being reasonable about this." "Please sit," Thompson interrupted. "We need to verify the signature on these loan documents." He pushed the papers across the table. There it was my name in someone else's handwriting, trying so hard to match my loops and curves but failing in the microscopic ways that mattered. "Ms. Monroe, please sign your name on this verification pad. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, you stated on the phone that Ava signed these documents. Is that correct?" "Of course she did," Dad said, but his voice wavered. "She signed them at home." "At what time?" Thompson asked. 8 in the morning, Mom said quickly. 8:12 a.m., to be precise, I said, speaking for the first time. "From your IP address. Using my old college email, you had the password to..." The room went silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. I picked up the pen, Dad's pen, and held it up. "This is the pen you dropped when Mom slapped me for refusing to sign. Remember, it rolled under my radiator. I kept it." "That's ridiculous," Mom started, but I was already signing my real signature on the digital pad. The machine captured every nuance, the pressure points, the velocity changes, the natural hesitations that come from years of muscle memory. Thompson fed the data into his laptop. Within seconds, the analysis appeared on the wall monitor. Signature match 0%. Forgery confidence 99.7%. Someone want to explain how Ava signed these documents when the biometric analysis shows a different person's hand movement? Thompson asked. Dad's face had gone pale. Mom's hands clenched and unclenched in her lap. "It's just a technical error," Mom said, her voice rising. "Computers make mistakes. We're her parents. We wouldn't what?" I asked, pulling out my phone. "Wouldn't use my social security number to open 3 credit cards. Wouldn't max out $23,000 in cash advances. Wouldn't coach each other on what lies to tell the police." I hit play on Evan's voice message from last night, his whispered confession filling the room. "Mom's been practicing her story about how you promised to help, then changed your mind." The door to Conference Room C opened. Detective Morrison walked in with 2 uniformed officers. "Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud." Mom lunged across the table toward me, screaming about ungrateful daughters and destroyed families. But the officers caught her arms. As they cuffed her, she kept repeating, "It was just one signature. Just one signature." The mask shattered completely as Mom struggled against the handcuffs, her carefully applied makeup streaking down her face. "It's just a signature," she screamed. "Family shares everything." "We shared our home with you for 18 years. "You mean the home I paid rent for since I was 16? I said quietly. my voice cutting through her hysteria. The utilities I covered when Dad gambled away the bill money, the groceries I bought with my part-time job earnings while you spent yours on lottery tickets. Dad's shoulders slumped as the second officer cuffed him. For a moment, his eyes met mine, and I saw something flicker, not remorse, but calculation. He was already planning his defense. Who actually logged into the account at 8:12 a.m.? Detective Morrison asked, pulling out his notebook. Who physically typed the passwords and uploaded the signature? The silence stretched until Mom broke. It was Martin's idea, but I knew Ava's passwords. We're a team. We do everything together, including conspiracy to commit fraud, Morrison noted. That's helpful. Please continue. Dad's head snapped toward Mom. Shut up, Lorraine. No, please, Morrison said, holding up his hand. Mrs. Monroe, you were saying you knew the passwords. The dam burst. Mom's words tumbled out in a desperate stream, each one another nail in their legal coffin. She gave them to me years ago. The email was basically mine too. I helped her set it up in college. And the signature Martin practiced it for hours, tracing it from her old lease agreement. He said banks never really check, that they just need something on file. Lorraine, Dad barked. But it was too late. Thompson had been furiously typing, pulling up more records. Mr. Monroe, I'm seeing here that you also attempted to add yourself as an authorized user on Ms. Monroe's existing accounts. 6 attempts in the last month, all rejected for failing security questions. That's not, Dad started, then stopped, realizing he'd just admitted to knowing about the attempts. Ada Brennan entered the room, having watched everything from the monitoring station. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, based on what we've just heard, we're adding charges of criminal conspiracy and attempted unauthorized account access. The federal prosecutors will likely add wire fraud charges since you used internet banking across state lines. State lines? I asked. The bank's servers are in Illinois. Every fraudulent login is a federal crime. Mom's rage reignited. You planned this, she spat at me. You set us up. You wanted to destroy us from the beginning. No, I said, standing slowly, gathering my evidence binders. You planned this. Every step. What you didn't plan for was me fighting back. I pulled out the printed email from Dad with the loan documents attached, time-stamped at 2:15 a.m. You wrote, already told the bank you'd sign tomorrow. Don't embarrass us. You'd committed fraud before you even asked me. Then, the text from Mom. You already signed. Stop making us look bad. These are admissions of guilt, Brennan said, taking the papers. You knew you'd forged her signature and were trying to coerce her into staying quiet. The bank's legal counsel, who'd been silent until now, cleared his throat. Brookstone Savings will be pursuing separate civil charges for fraud against our institution. We're also freezing all accounts associated with either of you pending investigation. Our accounts? Dad's voice cracked. How are we supposed to pay for a lawyer? Should have thought of that before stealing $48,000, Morrison said. Or before assaulting your daughter for refusing to be your cosigner. At the mention of assault, Mom made one last attempt at manipulation. She's lying about that too. We never touched her. Check the cameras, there aren't any in her apartment. I smiled coldly. No, but there's one outside my door that caught Dad trying to break in at 3:30 a.m. And the urgent care has photos of my bruised face. And Officer Daniels has the domestic violence report filed within 2 hours of the assault. The facade finally crumbled entirely. Mom aged 10 years in 10 seconds, her shoulders collapsing as the weight of consequences settled. Dad stared at the table, perhaps finally calculating the real cost of their scheme, not in dollars, but in destroyed relationships and potential prison time. Take them out separately, Morrison instructed the officers. We'll process them at different precincts to prevent collaboration on stories. As they led Dad past me, he muttered, Family doesn't do this to each other. No, I agreed, holding up the pen one last time. His pen, now evidence of their crime. Family doesn't. Mom was walked out next, silent now, her church dress wrinkled and her dignity gone. The door closed behind them with a decisive click. Thompson turned to me, his expression a mixture of admiration and sympathy. Ms. Monroe, we'll need you to sign documents confirming you never authorized this loan or any associated accounts. I picked up the bank's official pen, not Dad's cheap Bic, but a proper writing instrument for a proper ending. As I signed my name, my real signature, with all its unique pressures and patterns, I thought about Evan's text from this morning. They're saying you destroyed the family. Maybe I had. Or maybe I'd just stopped letting them destroy me. The conference room transformed into a courtroom of reckoning. The white LED lights overhead cast everything in stark clarity: the bank's mahogany table, the scattered fraud documents, the signatures that would never match. The printer in the corner hummed to life, spitting out page after page of evidence while the copy machine beeped rhythmically, creating a mechanical symphony of justice. Thompson read from the official bank statement, his voice carrying the weight of institutional authority. Brookstone Savings hereby confirms that the loan application 2024 PA 4759 in the amount of $25,000 has been marked as fraudulent. The application contained forged signatures and was submitted without the knowledge or consent of the named cosigner, Ava Monroe. Each word felt like a gavel strike. The printer continued its work, producing copies for all parties: the prosecutor, the bank's legal team, the federal investigators who'd just been looped in. Furthermore, Thompson continued, adjusting his glasses as he read, this institution is initiating a full audit of all accounts associated with Martin and Lorraine Monroe, including patterns of suspicious activity dating back 24 months. Morrison pulled up additional documents on his tablet. Ms. Monroe, we've also confirmed the 3 credit cards opened in your name. Capital One, Discover, and Chase have all agreed to mark these as fraudulent accounts. The debts will be removed from your credit report within 7 to 10 business days. The copy machine beeped again, another document ready. Brennan collected it, adding it to the growing pile. The federal prosecutor has officially taken the case. Wire fraud across state lines, each instance carrying up to 20 years. With 3 credit cards and 1 loan attempt, your parents are looking at potential consecutive sentences. I sat perfectly still, my hand resting on Dad's old pen, the same pen that had clattered to the floor that night when everything started. Now it would sign the end. We need your signature on these documents, Thompson said, sliding papers across the table. This confirms you never authorized the loan, never provided permission for account access, and are pressing full charges. I picked up the pen, their pen that had become my sword, and began signing. Each signature was deliberate, measured, recorded by 3 different cameras and the bank's biometric system. The printer spat out copies as I signed, creating an indisputable paper trail. Additionally, the bank's legal counsel interjected, reading from his own tablet. We're issuing a formal letter to all 3 credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, confirming identity theft and requesting immediate correction of Ms. Monroe's credit history. Your score should be fully restored within 30 days. Mom's voice echoed from the hallway. She was arguing with the officers about handcuffs being too tight, about dignity, about family. Her words faded as they led her to the transport van, but not before one final shriek. You're destroying everything we built. No, I thought, signing another document. You destroyed it the moment you raised your hand to me. Detective Morrison's phone buzzed. He checked it, then looked at me. Your brother is here, Evan. He's in the lobby, says he has additional evidence. My heart skipped. Bring him in. Evan entered, looking haggard, carrying a flash drive. He wouldn't meet my eyes as he handed it to Morrison. Screenshots of everything, Dad's practice signatures, Mom's emails to Aunt Patricia coaching her on what to say, the plans for 2 more loan applications they were going to submit next week. It's all there. Why? I asked quietly. He finally looked at me, tears threatening. Because what they did was wrong, and because someone needs to tell the truth for once in this family. Morrison inserted the flash drive, and the conference room monitor filled with evidence. Dozens of images, Dad's signature practice sheets, emails with subject lines like Operation Ava Credit, browser histories showing research on penalty for family member identity theft, and how to avoid fraud detection banks. "This is premeditation," Brennan said, her voice sharp with vindication. "This upgrades everything. Conspiracy to commit fraud with evidence of planning going back 3 months. The printer worked overtime now, page after page building our case. The copy machine's beeping had become a countdown to justice. Thompson pulled the final document from the printer, a single page that would end everything. "This is the official void notice," he said, placing it in front of me. "Once you sign this, the loan is permanently canceled, marked as fraudulent, with zero financial liability to you." I signed with Dad's pen one last time, pressing hard enough to indent the paper. Thompson took the document, walked to the bank's official seal, and stamped it with a decisive thud. The red void seal gleamed under the LED lights like a stop sign. "Stop taking advantage. Stop the abuse. Stop the lies." "We're done here," Brennan announced, gathering her files. "Mr. and Mrs. Monroe will be arraigned Monday morning. Bail will be set according to flight risk and the amount stolen." As everyone began packing up, I sat alone for a moment in that sterile conference room. The printer had gone quiet. The copy machine's beeping had stopped. In the silence, I could hear my own breathing, steady and calm. Morrison paused at the door. "You did the right thing, Ms. Monroe." "I did the only thing," I corrected, standing up and pocketing Dad's pen. "I chose myself." The door opened to the afternoon light streaming through the bank's windows. Outside, the police cars were pulling away with my parents inside, heading toward a justice they'd never thought would come from their investment of a daughter. The mechanical sounds of the bank computers humming, printers waiting, copy machines ready continued their routine, indifferent to the family that had just shattered within their walls. But the documents they'd produced, the evidence they'd recorded, the stamps they'd made, those would last forever. Void. 4 letters in red ink that meant freedom. The October wind cut through the Brookstone Savings parking lot as I stepped outside. Noon sun reflecting off car windshields like scattered diamonds. My phone buzzed a notification from the bank's app. The PDF had arrived. Loan cancellation. Monroe. PDF. $25,000 of attempted theft, reduced to a 2-megabyte file. I opened it in my Honda, engine running, heat fighting against the Ohio cold. There it was, my name under no financial liability, stamped with today's date and the beautiful red void seal. I tapped Save to Files, then Save to Cloud, then emailed it to myself for good measure. Triple redundancy, a habit from my logistics work that had saved me from my own family. The parking lot was nearly empty. Janelle's car was gone. She'd texted that she'd wait at my apartment instead. Evan had disappeared after giving his evidence, probably wrestling with the guilt of choosing truth over blood. The bank employees were returning to their routine transactions, processing legitimate loans for honest people. I sat there for a moment, Dad's pen still in my pocket, weighing nothing but carrying everything. The bruise on my cheek had faded to yellow-green, almost gone but still visible if you knew where to look. Like trust once broken, the mark remains even after the pain fades. My phone showed 17 new messages from family members I'd blocked, their names grayed out but still trying to reach through the digital wall I'd built. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Roy, cousins who hadn't spoken to me in years, suddenly concerned about family unity. They could keep their unity. I'd take my freedom. The email from Ada Brennan arrived at 12:32 p.m. Arraignment set for Monday, 9 a.m. Your presence required as primary witness. Your parents' assets have been frozen pending investigation. Initial charges filed: identity theft, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, financial elder abuse attempting to exploit family relationship for financial gain. Facing 15 to 20 years if convicted on all counts. 15 to 20 years. They'd tried to steal $48,000 and 20 years of perfect credit history. Now they might pay with 20 years of their own lives, The math had a certain poetry to it. I started the car and drove through downtown Brookstone, past the courthouse where Monday's arraignment would happen, past the urgent care where Dr. Patel had documented my bruise, past the police station where Officer Daniels had taken my first report, each building a milestone in my journey from victim to survivor. At my apartment, I found Janelle waiting with Chinese takeout and a bottle of wine. "Figured you'd need both," she said, not asking questions, just being present. We ate in companionable silence while I showed her the void document on my phone. "You know what the best part is," she said, pouring second glasses. "You've got perfect documentation. Anytime someone tries to guilt you, any family reunion where they paint you as the villain, you've got $48,000 worth of receipts proving exactly who the criminals really were." That evening, I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where this all started with loan papers and violence, and opened my laptop. The credit monitoring apps showed the changes already beginning. Fraudulent accounts flagged, investigations opened, my score, which had dropped 70 points in the chaos, beginning its climb back to 720. I pulled out Dad's pen one last time and set it on the table. Such a small thing to carry such weight. Tomorrow, I'd throw it away. Tonight, it was still evidence, still a reminder, still the period at the end of this sentence. The PDF glowed on my screen. Loan cancellation, Monroe, PDF. I clicked print, wanting one physical copy for my records. The printer hummed to life, delivering the page with its bold red void stamp. I signed the bottom not because I needed to, but because I could. My signature, my choice, my freedom. As I filed the paper away, I thought about the 3 types of signatures in this story, the one they tried to force from me with violence, the one they stole through forgery and fraud, and the one I gave freely to end it all, to void their power over me forever. Some signatures bind you to obligation, others grant you authority. But the most powerful signature I ever made was the one that set me free, the one that said no financial liability and meant no more chains. The pen rolled across the table one last time, coming to rest against the window. Outside, October continued its slow surrender to November. Seasons change, families fracture. But freedom, once signed and sealed and stamped in red, is forever. There are signatures we use to build connections, and signatures we use to sever them. Today, I signed for my freedom, and I don't owe anyone an explanation for that choice. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm curious, where are you listening from right now? Drop a comment below and let me know what country or state you're in. I love connecting with people who understand that sometimes family isn't about blood, but about respect. If you've faced similar situations or have thoughts to share, please subscribe to the channel and leave your story in the comments. Your experiences matter, and you never know who might need to hear that they're not alone in choosing themselves over toxic family dynamics.